Sitaram, once again welcome to the third edition of SWA. Today we will be speaking on the manifest and unmanifest forms of God and which of these are endorsed in our authoritative books for the worship of the manifest form. So we'll be referencing most times the Ramayana because it is a text that is very common among the population, and so the references can be easily related to. In Kiskindha Kand, Ramayana being divided into 7 sections, 7 Kand, the 4th Kand, Kiskindha Kand, Shri Ram Chandraji is actually talking to the world via the medium of Lakshman, his brother here. And the Chaupai says, and we pay special attention to the second line, Phule Kamal Soha Sarakaisi, Nidgun Brahm Sagun Bhai Jaisi. Shri Ram, perched on the mountain top of Pravarsan, points out to the world that down in the valley, in the midst of the pond, there are lotuses, some in the bud stage and some in the, with its full blossom. He says, Lakshman, that the bud stage represents the Nirgun Brahm, the unmanifest form of God. And if we have any idea of the lotus and its beauty, even in the bud stage, one recognizes its exquisite, its divine beauty. And Sagun Bhai Jaisi, when that very lotus blossoms out, it is even more beautiful. So too, says Shri Ramchandra, the unmanifest form of God is like the Nirgun Brahman, and the manifest form like the blossom, the full blossom of the flower, which is, the manifest form is more beautiful because in effect, it leaves, or he leaves an example how we handle our daily challenges, how we extrapolate from life the 4 fruits of life. And we shall now move to the other slide, the other quotation, talking about one of such challenges spoken about. Paying attention, this is from Ayodhya Kand, the 2nd section of Ramayana, and we pay special attention to the 2nd line. Here, Shri Ramchandra, having decided to volunteer himself into exile, listening to the request of Kaikeyi, his Dharmata, to his father Emperor Dasharatha. No one asked the Lord. He just heard the request. He volunteered himself into that exile. So he's before his mother, Kaushalya Mata, to bring the news to her. And he says, Pita, Deenha Mohikanana Raju, Jahasab Bhati Mora Barkaju. He says, Mother, my father, I am taking up residence in the forest because it is expansive. Ayodhya is too small for me. So he is expressing a degree of happiness of going into exile, to voluntary exile, because there's a bigger domain over which he has to perform his stewardship. And normally when we are faced with challenges, we have to move from one area of comfort and take a step down where there is materially, where there is as far as gati or position is concerned, and there's a transition, one that is not usually welcome by the human being. How do we react? Well, we ought to react by that manifest form of God in this case of Sri Ramchandra, as the full blossomed lotus, and see the beauty of how we handle challenges when challenges don't overpower us. And here it is, the Lord's status change from a prince regent to ascetic, because he was going to go into the forest land as an ascetic. And his response was, no, it might look like I'm going to ascetic, but I'm going to reign over a bigger kingdom. And he told Kaushalya Mata, Jahasab Bhati Mora Barkaju, in that reign as king of the forest land, my biggest job is to remove Ravan and his kind from the forest and from earth, and therein I will exercise my power as king of the world. So in the second instance, the challenge, one of the many challenges the Lord faced, which we refer to, his spouse, Sita Mata, the universal mother, was abducted by Ravan. And when someone close is affected in that manner, even less traumatic circumstances, we have a tendency to become emotional. We think with the emotions, we think with the heart, we don't think with the brain. Under those testing circumstances of the abduction of his wife, how did the Lord, that manifest form of God, teach the world to react, to respond? And he employed the technique known as, well, there are four really: Sam, Dan, Dandan, Bhed. Here it is, he sent to employ the first technique of Sam, of discussion, of dialogue. He sent his chosen envoy Angad in the courtyard, in the parliament of Lanka, where Ravan reigned, to engage Ravan in discussion, such that there might be a solution to that problem of abduction. A plausible solution, one that was feasible. And Angad expressly told Ravan that, listen, return Sita. You are returning him to the Lord I know. And that Lord, he is the one who protects those who take refuge in him. So if you go and seek his forgiveness, he will indeed not only forgive you, he will protect you, O Ravan. Trahi trahi abamohi sutahi arat vachana prabhu abhaya karahinge tohi. He told Ravan that remove, he is the one, if you have that fear that having transgressed, you might be punished, you might be abused, verbally abused. He says, abhaya karahinge tohi. Take away that fear, remove that fear. My Lord is not like that. So Angad engaged Ravan in psalm, in discussion, in dialogue. He carried the message of the Lord that, listen, even at this stage, you can be forgiven once you have returned my spouse Sita. In the course of that discussion with Angad, Dan is employed. Dan means when we have to give a quota in every tiff, in every argument, in every bartering at the negotiating table, each side has to give a quota. Each side has to give up something. Not their core principles, but some fringe benefit as the case may be. And Angad again employed and carried the message of the Lord Shri Ram Chandra. And he says, look, listen, you do the crime, you do the time, it will not happen here. He will forgive you. You were very aggressive in your movements in the abduction of Sita Mata. He is not going to be aggressive with you. He will give that quota in. You will get your admonishing, and then you will remain king of Lanka. And then Ravan desisted. He refused to accept those two situations put forward, those two techniques put forward by Angad on behalf of Shri Ramchandra. And then you have Dand and Bhed. Dand means, well, we have to get more aggressive with the situation. It in this case involved the warring parties. And Bhed, the final one, when there are irreconcilable differences in a negotiation. When we can still be civil with each other, but we don't share the same ideologies. For Ram Chandraji, the Lord incarnate, did not carry any malice towards Ravan. There were irreconcilable differences, but there was not malice involved. There was a degree of civility which existed. And such, in handling the challenge of someone close to him, the Lord showed the world we have to resort to these techniques and tactics to resolve a situation. In his manifestation as Shri Ram Chandra, the Lord also shows the world and points the way that life amidst all its challenges, is there to extract four fruits, the benefit of a human existence. And thus, in the Ramayana, we will take a look of these four fruits, how the Lord demonstrated to the world, the four fruits being Arit, which is reaching a comfort zone. Sometimes it might be via material gains, etc. You know, one has an appliance at home and one gets a more advanced version of that appliance. It makes everyone more comfortable. So in order to get that new appliance, for example, one has got to purchase it. So that's where material gains come in, to put us in a comfort zone. And that is all well and good as one of the fruits of our existence, Arita. Then we have Dharma, religious spirit. That is self-explanatory. Thirdly, calm, realization of noble ambitions. That's another core purpose, core fruit of life. And fourth, moksha, which is not merely seeking liberation in the hereafter, but equally, possibly, arguably, more important, seeking liberation within this existence. So we exemplify how Shri Ramchandra showed to the world that it is necessary, it's one of the fruits of existence, to put oneself, one next of kin, one's family in a comfort zone. So we go to Uttarakhand, the seventh, the last section of Ramayana. And the description is given here. Rama Raj Vihangesha Sunu, Kagji is talking to Guru Maharaj. Sacharachara Jagamahi says, in this world, during the reign of Shri Ram, this is after he had conquered Ravan, returned to Ayodhya, enthroned as king of Ayodhya. Kal karma swabhava guna krita dukha kahuhi nahi. During his reign, everyone was happy, everyone was comfortable, regardless of the time, regardless of the own karma, actions that are sometimes negative, that we bring forward to this life, and so we suffer the consequences of such ill actions. And subhavagun, sometimes we have our own mannerisms, our own takes, our own biases, and these are all chinks and flaws in one's character build. But in the reign of Shri Ramchandra, he assured, whether it involved counseling and pointing the way, how to circumvent for all those who were dependent on him as King Ram, as ruler Ram. He showed them how to circumvent the effects of time, the effects of one's past karma, and the shortcomings that sometimes pop up in our daily meanderings. And this was the comfort zone of the Lord. Sure enough, he had material gains. He had conquered Kiskindha, ruled by the mighty Bali, that became the kingdom of Ram, having been the victor. He conquered Ravan and gained the ownership of Lanka. And on both occasions, he did not keep it for himself. He bestowed Kiskindha onto Sugriv. He bestowed Lanka onto Vibhishan, the deserving Vibhishan. So material gains he had at his wherewithal, but he was a leader. This was Raja Ram. This was King Ram. It was not just a mere citizen, a denizen of the world. This was a ruler. And a ruler has to rule according to the tenets of what we call in Sanatana Dharma Rajniti. And when one rules according to Rajniti, then the result of that is the subjects and those whom we govern become comfortable. And that is the comfort zone of a ruler. In Valmiki Ramayana states clearly that one of the practices of Dashrath that made him very much comfortable in life, having achieved Artha, a comfort zone in life, was his economic practices. What we banter about in Sanatana Dharma, which is known in Artha Shastra, in economics, as trickle-down economy that pervaded the kingdom of Ayodhya during the stewardship of both father and son, Dashrath and Ram, meaning that when there were things to be done, undertakings to be carried out, constructions and etc., nepotism and cronyism was never the order of the day. Nepotism being when one gives to one's kith and kin family to undertake certain state projects and they're not qualified. Cronyism is when we give friends and lobbyists and well-wishers who again are not qualified to carry on constructions and progressive works in a land. Those practices were bereft of the stewardship that Ram and Dashrath practiced. Now, so both Dashrath and Ram Chandraji had their earth, had their gains to put them in a comfort zone, but as rulers, that was their comfort zone, the comfort of their subjects. Dharma, religious merit. The act of performing puja. We turn to Lanka Khan, the penultimate section of Ramayana, the 6th section of Ramayana. And here Shri Ram Chandra was making preparation to cross the seas and go to Lanka to wage battle with Ravan. Ravan having refused his conciliatory methods via the pronouncements of Angad. So it went to Dand. It went to war. And before the Lord crossed, he performed Shiv Baba Puja. Linga Thapi Vidhivat Kari Puja. Shiva Saman Priya Mohina Duja. The Lord performed Shivling Puja on that southernmost tip of India. So even that manifest form of God has found us, taught the world that there has got to be religious merit in one's existence. He too did not display his supernatural powers in the incarnation of Ram. He did exactly what the normal human being will do, and shows us, points the way here to us that religious merit, dharma, has to be one of the fruits of human existence. No other creation save and except human beings, sadhana dhamma moksha kadwara, that no other creature has the power to perform puja. The animal kingdom, what have we, they can't do it, physically do puja as we can do. And by performing puja, it leads to a better hereafter, and even it mends the crooked nooks and corners that we have to go through in life. Puja rectifies and straightens that. Why did why did the Lord have to perform Shiv Baba Puja? Among the reasons proffered, and understandably so, Lanka was governed by Ravan. Ravan was sustained principally by two major boons, one from Brahma and one from Bhagwan Shiva. Now the Lord is embarking on a project to destroy Ravan, who sustained himself by extension through the boon of Bhagwan Shiva. So the Lord went to Bhagwan Shiva. In the process of undoing Ravan, he was not going to undo the word of Bhagwan Shiva. It was an affront, a challenge to Bhagwan Shiva. So he supplicated to Bhagwan Shiva before embarking on his major project. While we are on the topic of puja, in a previous session we had talked about Adhik Maas. Adhik Maas is currently in position in the Hindu calendar. In the calendar across the board, because these calendars were not designed for Hindus per se. And it's always good to reference the Shastras, the Hindu law books. The Hindu law books in this country that are popular are Dharma Sindhu and Nirnay Sindhu. Not each book that has a quotation is considered an authoritative Shastra. So we turn to Dharma Sindhu, and not to belabor the point, we have just given an extract of the quotation. Shapat Dibyadi Karma Etani Malmase Varjani. And the Hindi is here. Basically it says that Malmas comprises of either Akshay Mas or an Adhik Mas. Both of those are referred to as Malmas. Adhik Mas, which we are in now, doesn't carry two sun kantis, where the sun moves out of 30 degrees in its rotation in its elliptical path. It doesn't carry that. That makes it an Adhik Mas. Other than that, it's a Kshay Mas. All the same, both of them, Divya Karma, Malmase, this is locative case in Malmas, Varjanani. One abandons any act of substance, not one's daily puja, not one's daily lighting of diya, not one's regular daily job. No. It's that, you know, sometimes we convene a puja for whatever reason. From puja go right back. And they are written here, Griha Pravesh, Murti Sthapan, etc. They all listed there. All of them, but we can coin it and say in one word, any act of substance. It could be divine, a Griha Pravesh, where it could be worldly matters like entering a new building, starting a new job, inaugurating a position of some sort. All these are forbidden in Adhik Mas, and the Shastras went on to explain why. So we now come to the third fruit of life, calm. The Lord exemplifies, and we go again to the last section of Ramayana, Uttarakhand. Here, Hanumanji was sent by Shri Ram just before Shri Ram entered Ayodhya. This is after his battle with Ravan. He sent Hanuman again as an envoy to inquire of Bharat, in whose trust Ayodhya was left. And Bharat wanted no part of it, so he gave it to his younger brother Shatrughna. But all the same, Bharat was entrusted reign over Ayodhya in Shri Ram's absence. So Hanuman went to find out from Bharat did his position change? Was he still, or was he going to hanker after the throne of Ayodhya? If that was the case, Shri Ram will not enter and bestow his blessings to Bharat. And when Bharat was met by Hanumanji, Hanumanji says, well, you know, the Lord has returned, he's on his way. And Ripurana Jiti Suyash Gavat Sita Anuj Sahit Prabhu Avat. And in a nutshell, Hanumanji encapsulated that Shri Ramchandra had accomplished all his noble ambitions, which were Ripuran. His major purpose on earth was to rid the world of the Rakshasas led by Ravan and his kind. Hanuman says, that noble ambition, that was accomplished. Ripurana Jiti, he was victorious in that battle with that chief enemy. And Suyashragavat, the devatas proclaimed his prowess. Sita Anuj, the last time Hanuman and Bharat met, that is when Hanuman was carrying Aushadhigiri, the mountain with all the medicinal herbs for the recovery of Lakshman. And Bharat was made privy of this and made privy of the fact that Sita was abducted. So in one fell swoop, Hanuman said, Sita Anuj, along with the abducted, the kidnapped Sita and younger brother Lakshman, who had been struck almost a fatal blow, Sahit Prabhu Avat. They are accompanying Shri Ram on his way back. So Hanumanji gives to the world that even the Lord in his manifest form, pointing that of the four fruits of life, the realization of noble ambitions, that's it. We want to study a trade, we want to study a profession, we want to dabble in a little bit of art, a little bit of horticulture, a little bit of music. These are noble ambitions. We ought to make all efforts to satisfy and realize those ambitions. And needless to to specify, and without belaboring the point, that these ambitions bring a certain exquisite joy. The fourth fruit of life, moksha, liberation, freeing oneself within this existence. And the technique is to free ourselves from the shackles of Maya. As he says, Maya, mistaking the unreal for the real, confusing hypocrisy with truth, and condoning immorality instead of upholding principle. These in a nutshell cover what Maya is. When the Lord incarnate, Nij icha nirbitanu Maya Gungupar. He was above the shackles of Maya. When he had to make decisions, and sometimes crunch decisions, they were done without any bias. They were done with all the degree of prudence and deep thought, as the case may be. And finally, in Balkan, the first section of Ramayana, we ask ourselves, well, are we pagans as Hindus to worship a Murti? Tulsidas ji says, Gira arata jalabichi sama. That there is no difference between word and its meaning. So, if one says apple, we instruct, close eyes, and we say the word apple, immediately this red, round fruit comes to mind. If you say watermelon, this oblong green fruit with a lovely inside, red inside comes to mind. So word produces a form. But the form is not confined to the word. So, if we were to examine, for instance, the first step of puja being the 16 recommended offerings to a deity. So we have a Murti before us. We have Hanuman Murti before us. We have Lakshmi Mata Murti before us. And the first mantra Pandit chants, and we will see here, it's a Dhyan mantra. Dhyan mantra. If it's Hanuman Baba, it may be the first two dohas of Hanuman Chalisa, Shri Guru Charana Sarojarja. If it is Lakshmi Mata, Yadevi Sarvabhuteshu, etc. But Dhyan has been proven, and this research incidentally was done by Harvard University, that Dhyan does 4 things. All beneficial. It decreases the blood pressure. So when Baba gives us a red flower and he starts his Chalisa and we hold that in our hands, we concentrate. That concentration, that Dhyan, that meditation decreases blood pressure. It decreases heart rate. It decreases oxygen intake. 3 beneficial. But it increases one thing, the alpha waves, which are the brain waves. So it was found, this research was done with Buddhist monks. It was found that the very first act of puja does these things to the human beings. So by extension, the Murti is before us just for a focal point. But all the mantras, starting from the beginning, the first one addresses things that are out of the Murti, that are really beneficial to the performer of puja. So, quickly recapping, the manifest form of God in all our texts, it's the Ramayana as we use as our reference. It's the preferred form for worship of the Supreme. Reason being, it teaches us, it leaves an example how we handle challenges, the techniques we use. We just pointed a couple of them here. It reminds us that this human existence was not to suffer and to endure pain. It is there also to enjoy the 4 fruits of life. It was principally designed, this body was principally designed by God out of love to enjoy the 4 fruits of life. And in that manifest form, we worship that form, but at the end of the day, the performance of that worship is not limiting the form of God to an idol, to a Murti. All these mantras, it's just a focal point to transcend and understand how to make ourselves more beneficial human beings and to enjoy life. Jai Sitaram.